So today's webinar event is where we look at man versus machine. And essentially we're going to be looking at, how you can take your day trading and basically put it on steroids. Okay, now why do we want to discuss this? Well, first of all, when we consider man versus machine, we essentially want to make trading an easy process for you guys, right? And for those of you that are just getting started or have never been exposed to trading, you may find it a bit overwhelming, or even potentially for those of you that have had some trading experience but are still having struggles with consistency. What we're here today to show you is how we can help you get a better understanding of where you fit in this business, and most importantly, how we can show you how to build, test, and know in advance whether or not you should be trading the strategies that you trade. Okay, now, before we get started, I think it's important to address that we do need to understand the risks in trading. Both Shark Indicators and Trade the Plan and all of our teams, we have no interest in the outcome of any of your trades. So if you are going to be trading, make sure you do so at your own risk and you accept those risks, because everything that we discuss moving forward is strictly for educational purposes only, as well as to provide you with products and resources to help you in this industry. Now, the event today, what we're going to be covering, the first topic that we're going to be discussing is where we actually help you guys identify whether you know or not if you should be trading either discretionarily or using an automated system. Who in here knows what type of trader they are? If you're a discretionary trader or an automated trader. If you could just type in the chat box if you trade discretionarily or if you trade automated or if you do a bit of both. I really want to get an understanding of the traders in here so we can help identify who's in the audience. The second topic that I'd like to address is pretty much the biggest question that we get from traders everywhere around the globe, right? If you guys don't have a strategy, or if you've been trying to find a strategy that is essentially, going to make you money, but you have not yet got that yet, then you're still trying to answer this question, right? What strategy do you trade, right? Well, the best way to do this is to discuss how you can know in advance whether or not the strategy you're going to trade is destined to possibly make you money, or you're destined to fail before you even start. And if we can help just one trader in the room today avoid losing money before they put real capital into the markets, then we've done our job as a company in this business. Because there's a lot of traders out there that go blindly into the markets before knowing what they have works or not. And Daniel Rowe is going to come into this presentation midway, and he's going to show you some live system examples, both losing and both winning, and how we can put you in touch with the right software to be able to validate what you do. Now, we need to provide you with a framework, because as human beings, whether we're trying to learn a new sport, we want to study relationships, whether with friends or with our loved ones, or we want to lose weight, or even if we want to get good at trading, right? The best way to learn something is to follow a process, and that process is usually best laid out in a framework. So what we do with our traders that own the BloodHound software and the software that we provide for traders in this industry is we provide them with a framework so that they can follow an easy path to building, testing, and trading their trading strategies. Okay, now the end of the webinar, we're going to be talking about the BloodHound advantage for traders, but most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, we've been putting on these events, and we've been putting on these events for some time now, but this is the first time we're going to be rolling out these new webinars for you guys. Now, I seen a couple people put in here that they're discretionary traders. Basically, we've got another gentleman that's asking, what do I do if I'm a losing trader? Well, these are great questions because it just tells us that you're still in the discovery process, or you've identified where you think you should be, but you may not know the difference. Now, maybe you guys have seen the movie The Matrix. I don't know if you guys have or not, but there's a picture of Morpheus here. And in that movie, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but in that movie, Morpheus presents Neo with, the choice of learning the truth or ignoring the truth and basically not paying attention to reality, right? And that choice is basically presented to him by the red or the blue pill. Right now, the reality is trading can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes, right? And we get bitten by the trading bug. We get excited about the gains and the potential for income. But a lot of times what happens is most traders don't understand the difference as to whether or not they should be trading either a discretionary system based on their abilities to trade that way, or looking at an automated strategy, right? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. They're both very valid approaches, but knowing where you fit, knowing your style, knowing your temperament, knowing the pros and cons to each and every one of these ways to trade the market is a very, very key piece of information that a lot of people go without paying any attention to. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully point you in the right direction to helping you understand where you feel you should be with regards to trading the financial markets. Now, when we look at discretionary trading, right, there are benefits to discretionary trading, right? We're able to locate multiple opportunities at any given time, right? Because we can participate whenever we choose to enter the market. Now, sometimes this can provide maximum profitability, right? Because this allows us to trade based off our own experience. And the reason this is important is because results for discretionary traders are usually stemmed from their experience behind the screens, but most importantly, the skill development. And the more time you practice trading, or the more time you spend getting to understand the markets that you look at, you will benefit as a discretionary trader, because as you advance, so will your trading. Now, this allows for human intuition. The most powerful asset a discretionary has is their intuition towards reading the market. No computer can ever match that. No matter how many systems you build, a computer can never replace completely what a human can do 100%. And this allows you to be more flexible with how you trade because you have that human intuition. Now, these are benefits to discretionary trading, but I think it's important to identify that there are downsides to discretionary trading as well, right? It requires us to be more alert and more focused. A lot of times, discretionary traders end up looking in hindsight when they test their strategies and they look at cherry picking the setups. You know, they say, well, I would have got in here, I would have placed my stop there, and that's where I should have got out, but I didn't. And what this does, it doesn't really give us any feasibility. It doesn't give us any hard evidence towards how we would actually trade, because it's not routine based and there's no structure. Now, that's not to say that all discretionary trading is non-structured. It's just important to know that this could be a potential downside if you approach discretionary trading. Now, a lot of times there's information overload. You know, sometimes traders trade with 3, 4, 5 monitors, some just 1 or 2. But humans can only process so much information at once before our minds shut down. And it's very hard to trade multiple markets simultaneously because we have to process so much information at once that it becomes overwhelming for us to make decisions based on logic, which leads to emotional trading, which leads to discretionary trading being emotionally challenging for you guys, because a lot of times we end up interfering with what we know we shouldn't do, right? Now, the end to this is you have to have experience, right? And you have to practice. And if you don't practice, what happens is you do yourself a disservice, because your benefits as a discretionary trader will come from skill development and your experience level, right? So I just want to make sure we understand this, because this does not mean you should not be a discretionary trader, nor does it mean you should. It's here to give you the foundation to understand if you look at trading a market on your own, or you want to develop a strategy but you want to trade it yourselves, it's good to know the ins and outs and the mechanics of what you're doing. Let's shift gears here to the opposite side of the coin. When we look at automated system development, or algo trading, some people like to call this, we have both pros and cons. Now, automated trading is repeatable. It allows for emotionless execution, and this allows us to be mechanical, system-based, right? We can measure our expectancy, we can determine profit factors based on repetition, and this allows for less human overload of information, because we can trade multiple markets simultaneously, because we can let computers take a lot of that workload off of us, right? We don't have to process all this information at the same time, especially if you're intraday trading when the markets are moving really fast and you're getting started, or maybe you just need a little bit more coaching or some maybe a little bit more guidance and education. And what happens is that if you look at trading an automated system, sometimes you're able to test your feasibility a lot better because you have more accurate risk and trade management, because everything that you build is structured, right? Your entries, your exits are routine based. Now, if we look at the opposite side of this, right, the downside to automated system development is that we end up losing the control of human intuition to computers, right? And as I mentioned before, no computer can 100% replace a human being's intuition, their judgment, their understanding of what they think is going to happen or what their experience tells them, right? But it does reduce the involvement which you trade, right? You're not going to get involved with the trading. You're going to let the computer do what you told it to do because it's going to execute based off your strategy. Now, this is inflexible once you deploy it. Not to say you can't go back and adjust things, but when you deploy a strategy, it's going to do exactly what you've set it to do. Okay, so it's important to understand this, that we're not involved with the execution of an automated system. Now, this requires a lot of patience for traders, because when people get into this business, and we hear it all the time because we work with a lot of traders building automated systems, that they either get discouraged or they have unhealthy expectations around system performance. And system performance is not always validated on your first attempt in building a winning trading system, right? Because a lot of traders, they need to understand how to build strategies, the inner mechanics of the indicators and the markets and the time frames and the types of systems before you can ever expect to have positive performance with an automated system, or a discretionary system at that. And there is a learning curve involved, right? Because what we need to do is we need to make sure that we are well educated, we're well prepared, and we use the right resources. And if you're not equipped with this information, you're doing yourself a major disservice, because now you've put yourself at the bottom end of the spectrum against professional traders that are doing just this. Okay, so like I said before, there is no right or wrong answer to whether you should be trading discretionarily or automated. It's just important to understand that there are pros and cons to both. Now, who in here, and I would really kindly ask that the audience type this into the chat box, who in here knows what strategy you should be trading? Who in here actually knows they should be trading a trend system or a breakout system, or a reversal strategy, or a momentum system? If you know the type of strategy that you're trading currently, or you think you should be trading, please type it in, because I think it's important to address this. And if you're sitting behind the screens listening to this and you're saying, I really don't know, and I really hope that I can find the right information to tell me what I should be doing, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you know that you're not alone. Okay, because most traders, myself included, I know Daniel can relate with this, and I could probably call up 20 traders and they'd all tell me the same thing, that when they first got started, or even through the learning curve, they felt confused, lost, unsure as to whether or not they'd actually make it, or if they've been overwhelmed with the information overload that's available on the online and in the media, right? And this can be detrimental to you guys advancing in either building a discretionary strategy or building an automated system. Okay, and I've got a few answers in here. We've got discretionary traders. One gentleman says he knows he should be trading breakouts. I'm really glad that you said that, because we're going to be actually showing some examples of a breakout system later on here in the event. We got another gentleman says he doesn't know. That's perfectly fine. You're not alone in this, right? We got retracements, resumption of trend strategies. Great. I appreciate the participation, traders, because what this allows me to know is where you guys stand in your learning curve as well as your advancement as a trader, right? Well, if you're not sure and you're looking at trying to start with a strong foundation, 90% of all trading systems is built on one of these 5 criteria. Now, I'm not saying there isn't any other types of strategies available to trade, but there's either trend traders, breakout traders, reversion, which could also be known as reversals. We've got volatility squeezes. We've got momentum systems, right? And I'm sure you've all heard of these types of strategies. Some systems incorporate one of the other. Some incorporate all of them. Some just focus on one component. But know this, if you're going to build trading systems on a discretionary or an automated level, somewhere when you build a strategy, when you create it over whatever market you trade, you will be incorporating some form of these 5 segments. Because the markets are either trending, they're either breaking out, they're either trading with momentum, there's either volatility squeezes, they're either reversing to the mean, etc. And depending on where you fit as a trader, what we need to determine is a foundation so that you guys can basically build trading systems with a strong understanding of the right information. Because there's a lot of disillusion and there's a lot of information that can lead you astray, and we're going to show you how you can know in advance to avoid losses, and that way you don't have to put your risk capital into the market before you know you trust your trading system. So we're going to be covering some systems. We're going to be showing you some test results and metrics, which are probably what most of you guys are looking at seeing anyways. You're looking at the numbers, you want to know profitability, you want to know the trading statistics. We're going to show you that today for both a winning system and a losing system. So Daniel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the torch over to you. I'm going to sit here in the back end and answer any questions that come in, and I'm going to let you take it away so that you guys can show these traders how we could have avoided losses on a very well-known strategy and how possibly knowing how to trade a different approach could be better for these guys.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Sean. And hello, everyone. Just bear with me for a moment while I start sharing my screen here. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. I don't know about you, but I am very excited about this presentation. This is a little bit different from what we normally do. And, well, we've been working on this for a while, and I think you're really going to see just how important this piece of software actually is. It's just such a tremendous asset to trading, and I think you'll thoroughly understand that by the time I've finished this part of the presentation and you've seen the results of an automated system that I've created with it. Right? In the past, during the demo portion, at least, my part of the presentation, I've typically focused on giving a broad overview of BloodHound and all the many ways it can be used. I assume everybody can hear me all right. Is that the case? Just give me a Y if you can, and you can see my screen. I haven't seen any feedback yet, so I'm just going to keep on trucking on. So today, what I'm really going to focus on is really why this is so useful, all right? Rather than going into, how BloodHound works and how we build systems and yada, yada, yada. I really want to drive home why this is such an important piece of software. Okay, I think that should be quite clear when I get done. So I'm going to show you 2 different systems. All right, one is a very common trading system Sean was referring to that undoubtedly most of you have heard of, or I would say some of you have heard of it at least. Maybe some of you have even been trading it. Maybe you traded it today. It's the opening range breakout system. All right, it's what you see before you now. And the thing is, a lot of people, there's a lot of stuff written about this system, right? There's several books written about it that I've read, and it's portrayed as this, awesome system. And a lot of people trade breakouts, not necessarily opening range breakout, but some kind of a donkey and channel breakout or a previous swing high or low breakout. And personally, what I've found through back testing, and I've tested so many systems, most breakout systems do not back test very well at all. And I think that might be surprising to some of you because there are a lot of vendors that tend to push these breakout systems, right? Because it's a pretty common thing. I mean, when you first start studying technical analysis, you get into these types of things. You get in, MACD, crossing the zero line, breakout of the previous high or low, stuff like that. So it's pretty common, and a lot of people have been trading it, and a lot of people expect that they're going to make money while they're trading it, but they've never done the testing that's necessary to prove to themselves whether it actually works or not. So I'm going to go through that now, and I think you can see just by this that probably what we're going to end up with is not a very good back test, right? But here's the thing, and I've done a lot of reading on building systems, and everybody says the same thing: beware of the well-chosen example. So if I were selling you this opening range breakout system, what kind of example do you think I would show you? It would probably be something similar to this, wouldn't it? What a beautiful trade we had today. And see, that's the thing. You have these great runs with these breakout systems. You'll have, 4 or 5 days back to back where you just stack it up. And then all of a sudden you go through a period of about a month where you're giving back everything you've made and then some. All right? So that's the thing. And I think that's what draws people to this strategy, is that you see these awesome trades and you're like, man, I just get in at the breakout of the opening range high or low, and I just hold it, and I make all this money. So it can be very, very appealing to people. It was to me. I spent a long time on this thing. Let me just kind of explain it now, and I'll show you why using BloodHound has been key, completely essential in determining these results and coming to the conclusions that I have and I'm sharing with you now. So what the opening range breakout system is we're taking, and this is crude oil obviously, so we're taking the open, which is for me 8 a.m. Central, and of course that's 9 a.m. Eastern at the NYMEX, and from the open for the first 30 minutes, you could use a 5-minute or a 10-minute or an hour, but it seems to me the most common one for crude oil is 30 minutes. For the ES, it would be an hour, right? So we're taking the first 30 minutes and we are marking the high of that range and the low of that range. All right, and then at the end of that 30 minutes, the first bar that breaks out of one of those sides, we're going to enter at market the open of the next bar. Okay. Now in a live situation, you might want to enter once we broke in 2 ticks above it or 2 ticks below it, or even 8 ticks above it or 8 ticks below it. I've seen a couple of different variations on that. All right, and because we're using the opposite end as our exit, that's our stop loss. All right, so if it breaks out here, at this point, we're going to hold it either until the close or for a stop loss until it breaks out of the opposite end. And then for the target, we're using 2 times the opening range. So if this is the opening range here, let me just make sure. Yeah. So if this is the opening range, we're doing 2 times the opening range. For the profit target. So 1, 2, which is this upper 3. Okay, so that's our target. Either we're going to get stopped out once it breaks through the opposite side, or we're going to take profit at 2 times the opening range, or we're going to hold it until the close. All right, that's typically what's taught about the opening range breakout. Regardless of yesterday's range or if we've gapped up or gapped down, we're just doing this purely automated based on those rules. Okay, and we're looking at 150 days back. All right, so now, as you can see, let's go through a couple of days. You have this awesome trade today. Great money. That's awesome. Great. Let's go back a couple of days and see. Look at this. Just incredible, right? From the opening range breakout almost directly to the low of the day. I mean, that's what a great trade, right? It's awesome. So let's go back a little more. Here we didn't quite make target, so we hold until the close. Now, if you were trading this, let's say you had the entry automated and you wanted to manage it discretionarily, you could have gotten out at any point, right? But if, according to the rules, if you're going to follow these rules, you're either going to hold it until the close or you're going to hold it until that target or stop is met. Okay, and that's what we've done here. So still a winner, still a nice winner. And look at that, another great winner. Wow, pretty incredible. We almost got stopped out here, but it wasn't quite, we didn't get a close below it, basically. So it just barely broke out. probably stopped out a lot of discretionary traders that were trading this, discretionarily. But then it went on to make a great killing. So that's 4 days in a row that we made a bunch of profit, right? And there are times like that in the past, and we go back and we see those. But then, like I told you, you go through these periods here, loser. Then you get another winner, thank goodness, to get you back for the day. You got another winner there. Yep. And then you go through these periods where all of a sudden you take, I don't think I have that many days back on this, like this one, you have a massive loss there where the opening range is incredibly wide. All right. I mean, look at that. What is the loss on that? 66 ticks. So that's the thing. You never know what your risk is going to be, but you're shooting for 2 times the initial risk for the profit target. That's what you're shooting for. Okay, so it looks like just testing, the past 10 days, this is an incredible strategy, right? And a lot of people sell it as if it were an incredible strategy. I've seen several people that market this. One guy sells it for $1,100, and that's on discount, right? It's normally $1,500. But whatever. I don't want to get into that. I'm not here to bash people. People make a living, and a lot of people just don't know that these things that they're pushing don't have the ability to make money. Either they haven't done the testing, or whatever. I don't want to get into speculation here, but now let's do this. So we're going to test it over 150 days, and I've done that so we don't have to sit here and wait for a half-hour back test. And these are the results. All right, so over the past 150 days, and I did 150 days so that we would have a large enough sample size. We wanted to have over 100 trades for the sample size. And Terry's asking me, do I trade it on a 1-minute chart? I'm trading it on a 1-minute chart, Terry. Excuse me. I'm trading it on a 1-minute chart so that we're getting in, essentially right when it breaks out. We're getting in within a minute after it breaks out. Okay, so that we're not, if we were trading this on a 10-minute bar, maybe it already ran 30, 40 ticks by the time that 10-minute bar closed. So for the sake of a back test, which is entering at the close of the bar, which is the open of the next bar, I'm using a 1-minute chart, okay, if that makes sense. So in order to get over 100 for the sample size, I chose 150 days back, and this was the result. So we're essentially flat. I mean, we've lost money, right? We've lost $1,000 bucks. So over time, trading the system, you're going to go through periods of incredible drawdowns. I mean, look at this. We were down initially. We went up about 1,000, and then we came straight down 7. So you have these huge drawdowns with breakout strategies. Almost every one of them have huge drawdowns. And then you go through these magnificent runs where you're just winning every day. And then you have these drawdowns. And then here you can see, so for the past 10 days, like I was just showing you on the chart, we have this really nice run. Okay? So we don't know that this is the case until we're able to do the back testing, and we're not able to do the back testing unless we know how to code, or unless we want to pay somebody a couple $1,000s or more. I've been quoted at over $10,000 for a strategy to be created for me, unless we want to pay somebody or we want to learn how to program. So that's where BloodHound comes in. What we can do with this software is we can do visual programming. So in order to create this strategy and then do the testing, all I had to do was build these basic solvers, and it took me literally about 12.5 minutes to do this. So I have one solver, and that's the opening range breakout. So when it closes above the opening range high, it's signaling a long entry. If it closes below the opening range low, it's signaling a short entry. Okay, and then I'm essentially allowing only 2 trades a day. And that's what all this other stuff is for. To basically allow only a couple of trades a day. And then that's the entry. And then here's the exit. The exit is either crossing the opposite side of the opening range or hitting my target, which I've shown you is 2 times the opening range. Okay, so that's it. So that's why BloodHound is so key, because we can do these things rather than paying somebody to do it or learning how to program. We can essentially build these things out in no time at all, less than a couple of hours for sure. And if you need help with that, that's what I'm here for. I help people, learn BloodHound. If you have a strategy you want to get up and running quickly, BloodHound users come to me. I build it for them quickly, and then they can test it. I can teach you how to do that stuff. Whatever it takes, whatever you need, that's what we're here for. We are dedicated to teaching traders what they need to do. No hype. We're not here to sell you a bunch of garbage. We're not here to take your money. We're here to give you the most useful, valuable tool that's ever hit this retail trading community, and teach you what it takes to start proving to yourself, what works and what doesn't. What is it going to take? Is the system I'm working with now, is it going to make me money or not? All right. You have to do the testing that's required. And that's what we're all about. We're not, we're anti-hype. And this truly is about, well, I can't think of anything more important, and I'll show you. Let me just take a moment. I think I've pretty much driven home that, the opening range breakout, while it does have periods of great success, overall, it loses money. And that's typical of most breakout systems, sadly. If you know of something that isn't, that actually works pretty well, I'd love to know about it. You don't have to tell me what it is, but if you could show me a back test of a breakout system that's profitable, I'd love to see it. All right, let me show you one thing now. I shouldn't do this. It's probably stupid that I'm doing it, but I just want to kind of instill in you. These are my results from trading today. And yes, it's in sim. Yes, it's multiple contracts, but I'm getting results like this almost on a daily basis now, and I attribute that to the time that I've spent learning BloodHound, working with systems, testing all of these different combinations of technical analyses and different systems and whatnot, and really figuring out what works and what doesn't. And the only reason why I've been able to do that is because I've learned how to use BloodHound. And it's been through working with BloodHound and, like I keep saying, testing all of these ideas. If you can't test them, then you're guessing. I mean, let's face it, if you're not testing what you're working with, and testing by hand, back testing by hand, the visual problem with that, there's flaws in that, and we make mistakes. So you really need to be letting the computer do these types of back tests and things for you. And it's what's required, folks. I mean, if you're not doing it and you're just trusting a salesman that sold you a system, well, then you're at his mercy, aren't you? And you've got to be trusting him. And that's not something I'm willing to do. I'm doing the required testing, and these are the results that I'm experiencing now. So that's just today. Now, I think what I'm about to show you is probably going to blow you away. It's blown me away. I can't believe it. This is a system that I actually built. Georgie, that was 5 contracts at a time. But that was multiple trades today. This is just, I can't get over it. Now, let me give you a little background to this system. So basically, every Friday we do a workshop, right? A BloodHound workshop, and occasionally I go in there and I do one. But mostly Zach puts them on. We answer questions. We build out some different conditions. We might even build a full-blown system. Show people how to use BloodHound, essentially, right? And how to do the testing. So one day I was in there. Zach was on vacation. I think this was a couple of months ago, about a month and a half ago, and a little over a month. And I put together this system, this ADX VMA system. And I put it together in about a half an hour before I went on. And then I spent the next hour and a half teaching people how to build this, all right? And I back tested it at the end, and the results just kind of blew me away. I thought, that can't be right. What's that all about, right? So then I go on continue working on it for a little while, trying to simplify it, make it better. It blows me away. Let me just kind of show it to you. So this is the logic of the system, and we're going to cover all this in great detail on Saturday. And believe me, you're definitely going to want to see that. It was a bit more complicated before, but I've since refined it. Less rules, less complicated, and it's usually less rules, higher profits. And I added the one thing that just took it to the next level was adding in an exit. All right, and people have heard me say this before. Your exit strategy is, in my opinion, much more important than your entry. It's how you manage the trade, all right, and where you're exiting, why you're exiting, what your exit rules are. It's, in my opinion, exponentially more important than your actual entry. And in adding in this divergence exit, RSI divergence exit, it took the results from being really good to really great, all right? So rather than go into detail about that, which we're going to do later, let me show you today's trades. Now, I was running this live today with one contract on the side, just letting it go so that I could have some live results to show you guys. And it turns out that today was the best day it's ever had in crude oil. And literally 10 trades today, all winners, 290 ticks. Let's go through these trades really quickly. We have our first short. And look, I'm using 40 tick profit target, 20 tick stop, or the RSI divergence exit. So whichever one gets hit first, either the target, the stop, or the RSI divergence. So that one got 40 ticks. Imagine if you were managing this discretionarily, you know, letting it enter the orders automatically and then managing it discretionarily on your own, which BloodHound enables you to do, which you very well could do because you see the orders go in. You see the chart trader here? I can turn it on, turn it off. I can take discretionary trades. I can let it enter the automated order and then manage the stop and target, you know, move them wherever I want, whatever. So I could be, rather than exiting here on this one, I could be just holding from long from here and just trailing my stop up, you know, and then maybe getting out here rather than taking all these individual trades. Maybe I just had one nice long today, right? So that's the first short plus 40 ticks. There's the first long plus, how many ticks is that? I can't see. I think it's 8. Yeah, I think it's 8 or 13. Okay. Here's another one, plus 40. It hit the target. Another one, plus 8. Another one, plus 19. Another short, plus 35. All right, another long. And see, this is perfect. This is right where the RSI got you out beautifully, RSI divergence. So that's what I mean. It's just a great, great exit. And then another long here, plus 40. Another long, 15. Another long, 40. Another long, 40. 10 trades back to back, all winners. And this is from a system that began in our Friday workshop. And then I took it and made it, you know, 10 times better, right? Would I have been able to do that without BloodHound? No. I mean, what idea would I have had that this was even close to being a good system? I just threw some rules together and then tested it, you know? You can't, in order to do that kind of stuff by hand, you know how long it takes you? You've got to come up with rules. You've got to go through every single day. You've got to mark up all the charts. You've got to add it up in an Excel spreadsheet. It's so time consuming, and you get so discouraged after you've gone through, you know, 20 or 30 different setups, and they're all no good. By the time you find something good, if you get to that point, you've spent a lot of time. You can do these things in BloodHound in the blink of an eye. It's just incredible. Well, not the blink of an eye, but you know what I'm saying. I built the system in an hour, showed everyone how to build it in an hour and a half, and then took it, spent another few hours, and made it awesome. All right, so let's go through the results here now. So this is just 60 days, but in 60 days, $10,900. All right, and like Sean keeps reiterating, you know, we're not saying that you need to be trading this. These are backtest results, theoretical, whatever. We're not recommending that you trade this, okay? We're just showing you an example. Profit factor 1.65. I've got the commissions that factored in here. 60% profitable out of 217 trades. Max consecutive losers 5. It's pretty decent results, man. And then here's the daily results, and we're not factoring in the past few trades because I had to do this backtest a while before the end of the day, but this is showing 190 ticks today, when in actuality we actually reached 290. All right, and then 80 ticks yesterday, 64 the day, or 65 the day before. And then you can see, yes, we do have losing days, but we don't have losing weeks. So pretty incredible. And like I keep saying, I would have never known this had it not have been for BloodHound, right? And it's just an incredible piece of software, and I hope you see that now. So before you go and risk any money on a system that you've bought or you've been putting together over the past several months, first, build it out in BloodHound and then back test it over and over until you've proven to yourself whether or not it's a good idea to put real money on the line with it. And if you need help with that, that's essentially what I do. I help people build their systems in BloodHound and then do all the proper testing. This is what it's all about. All right, you need to do the proper testing, and you need to have confidence in what you're trading with. If you don't know beyond a reasonable doubt or beyond the shadow of a doubt whether your system has the potential to turn a profit, how could you ever be confident in it? Don't ever take a salesman's word for it. You need to prove these things out for yourself. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. All right, this truly is about the most important tool for trading you could have. I mean, how many of you would like to have this ADX VMA system? Well, I'm about to pass it back to Sean now, so be sure and pay careful attention to the rest of the presentation because he's going to tell you a bit more about this system later. Okay, so Sean, I'm going to pass it back to you, bud. Take it away.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Essentially, what we did here was we basically showed you how you can avoid losses in advance and how we can put you in touch with resources where you can look at taking good information and rolling it forward with positive test results. Okay, so let's break this down. When you have this question, how do you know what you have works? We need a framework to be able to build a trading system so that we can test it and we can deploy it. We always get a few comments in the chat box, of course it's in simulation, it's never the same in live accounts. That's fine, but I challenge anybody that's ever been a good trader to sit down and say that we never started in sim first. You always start in simulation first so that you build your confidence and you build your trust, because if you don't, 9 times out of 10 you're an emotional trader and you'll blow out your account, or you'll face break-even status constantly and then you don't have a framework to follow before following a winning system. Okay, so when we build trading systems, or when we have traders in our workshops on Fridays and we get phone calls and we do one-on-ones with our consulting and stuff like that, we talk to traders about this framework very efficiently, okay? We have a creation phase, we have a testing phase, and we have an application phase. The creation phase is where we pick our markets, we pick our indicators, and we can build our entry and exit signals with management around risk without having to write any code, because BloodHound requires no coding, not having to spend that resource. And this allows you to be able to build your system visually instantly. You then take your systems and then you back test them first. Once your back tests are actually giving you some merit, then you roll it forward in live markets, which is what Daniel did today to show you those setups. You take a positive testing system, then you roll it forward, and then you compare the results. Then and only then should you have the confidence to trade it live, because you're comparing past results with current information. Once you have that trust, you apply it. You roll it forward, you basically deploy your system, and then you allow yourself to choose. Are you going to trade it discretionarily or automated? Which is why we started with that in the presentation, because BloodHound has no restrictions. You can choose to trade any way you want as long as you have a strategy that's worth its weight in gold. Okay, now, the BloodHound advantage for traders, and I'm going to go quickly so I can get you guys to the neat stuff at the end here because we only have a few minutes. It allows you to participate on a more professional level, okay? It also allows you to build and test your systems without coding because you can do it visually through the BloodHound template interface. Most importantly, it's fast, right? You have flexibility, but you also have user-friendly tools, right? If anybody's ever bought software or indicators or tried to learn this industry and never been exposed to NinjaTrader or any of the stuff like that, sometimes it's overwhelming. Well, BloodHound, our training resources, and our workshops that are held freely every week for our customers, we make it very user-friendly so you can actually use the software, you can build and test and trade your systems. This saves you a lot of time in development and most importantly, a lot of money. Okay, you don't have to worry about spending tons of dollars on programmers and educational programs and strategies that you're not sure are worth your time or your costs. And this ends up becoming like a programmer in your back pocket for life because anytime you have an idea, you have a strategy, or you want to trade something that you may have bought, before you risk it, test it. And that's what BloodHound can do for you. Okay, now, when we look at BloodHound, we have 3 versions of the software. All right, now some of you may have heard of it before or you're just getting exposed to it today. The standard model and the professional model are our base versions. There's restrictions, there's limitations, but nonetheless, anybody that has ever bought the standard or the professional has always upgraded to the ultimate. So the reason we tell this so that if you do decide to move forward with maybe using BloodHound and you see the value in it, we recommend going with the ultimate up front because it'll save you money in the long run because we know you'll end up updating anyways. Okay, so we want to thank you. Hopefully we've done our job in serving as providers of good information. And we want to thank OTC for giving us this event to participate with you guys. But most importantly, we want to thank you traders for being here. And if you guys have any other questions, this screen has our contact information. We don't hide behind a website. We've got a team of technical specialists. We've got traders, we've got developers, and we'd be more than happy to answer any sales questions, if not any tech support questions, integration questions, system questions, you name it. We'll put you in touch with the right people to help you guys out. So we've got a couple minutes left, 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes at max. And if you own BloodHound already, get in touch with us, Heinz. We'd be more than happy to put you in touch with what you're asking about. That's not a problem at all. And if you have questions about computers or whether or not it's going to work with you, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to jump on the computer with you, check things out. We'll put you in touch with the right people so we can make it a very comfortable decision for you. We don't expect you to buy something without being comfortable with it, but most importantly, we're here to help with that. So with that being done, guys, I think everybody's kind of wrapped up. Thanks, guys, and thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Daniel, for helping me present. We're gonna end that here, and hopefully, you guys have a profitable trading day tomorrow. Thanks, guys.